Welcome back everybody, it's DestinysJesus here. Today we've got another one of our 3 levels videos. It's probably been the last 3 levels for solos video we're going to do for a while, unless you guys want to see more videos like this. We're going to be looking at Russian Drolby from the Opens to the qualifiers. We're going to be looking at Nebby, who got around top 50 in the finals, and then Tayson, who won the whole thing. He won 80 grand. He played really well, breaking down all of his 12 kill win, every single kill he got, his thought process, and what he was doing in those kind of situations, and some secret success that you guys can copy from his gameplay. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to leave a like if you did. Coming to Drolby's early game, this is the drop spot. The weather station up top, north of the map, is a really good drop spot just to get contested by very little people, and it's really easy to have a good drop for. You normally want to aim for this top floor spawn or the top chest in this room here, whichever one is more viable if there's no good floor spawn on top. Then from here, you can farm down, get this chest down below, which is pretty good, and then normally have a loot advantage if somebody contests like the front door of the building. You'll have 2 chests, they'll only have 1, and you should have that advantage there. Normally, Drolby decides to rotate straight down to Orchard and get into a third-party fight there, or you can go down to the slot truck and get more chests down that way if you prefer. Whenever he gets a North Zone, he decides to rotate up towards Craggy Cliffs, which is what he does this game, just to get in early fights, which is a really good strategy, just to get in as many kills as possible. You see here, he's not covering off the high ground. The guy could go upwards and make a play for height. Instead, he just pressures the wall over and over the P90. And now, the guys come up on height. He does get the kill, but a better player would have just cranked up to height, wasted their heals, and dragged on the fight a lot more. Coming to Nebby, our semi-pro, we're going to basically looking what he did that kind of led to success in this game, as well as his issues in the other games. He'd always land on this main Coral Castle roof building, then drop down and get this chest. Coral Castle is such an underrated drop spot. It's pretty hard to fight, however, but it does give you an extremely large amount of loot. You can get a lot of chests here, as well as your mats are pretty decent as well. Coming into Tayson's early game, he landed steamy stacks every single game. He landed on this main cigarette pylon, and then went down to the purple building to farm up and get a decent amount of chests. In this game, Tayson had a massive build fight with Janus on top of the steamy stacks. This kind of ended up griefing both of his games. So here, he's in the shambles situation. He knows Janus is going above him. So he boxes up, pops his fish, and he knows Janus is going to go for that play. Listens for it, doesn't build at all, and just commits to hitting 2 big tack shots here, right? He gets that first shot off just because he knows Janus has got his crash pads out, and then he hits that second shot, pretty easy to hit as Janus doesn't really build anything, and he's committing to the shots at that point. Really good play you can do is somebody trying to crash into your box, just make sure you got your heals and then commit to the aim duel since you'll normally get the first shot off. Coming into Drolby's endgame from the open rounds, what we're going to see here is the biggest thing that I noticed was just the fact he was so bad at using movement items, right? If you're not already, you need to make sure you're videoing top pros and just seeing how they use their movement items, since there was a couple of really big mistakes of Drolby's gameplay here, right? First of all, this launch pad that he decided to use, it was quite early. Honestly, with this, you just want to go a little bit later, right? You see how early he goes there when he could have waited for Storm to hit him, or he could have gone out this front box diagonally there. That would have saved him a lot of mats on front side and also made sure that he got tagged while he was moving. Landing spot as well, because of that early pad, right? He lands on low ground, on top of this hill. It's not really the best spot to be. Ideally, you want to be above somebody, and then you can set up a crash pad later on. And then here, we're going to see how he uses his crash. He comes forward, goes over the top, which is quite exposed, and then crashes over. Again, goes towards like a really low level, not really the best place to be on first moving when you've got crash pads and you want to be saving them as well. Now he sets up another crash pad, it goes forward, and this is a really big mistake again. Should have connected to these builds and tried to stay on this like higher level to conserve his mats. Instead, misses it, drops the whole way to low ground, gets in a scuff situation with this guy. And the thing is to drop in low this early. Sure, you can get some picks, but a lot of the times you're just going to get focused, you're going to get bullied by players above like Stinks or the RPGs or something, or you're going to get crash padded in on somebody who needs a refresh, right? Now, as second moving starts, he actually does a really good awareness and instantly moves towards front side. Just didn't cover his back enough there, so he gets tagged. The thing is with these hill zones, you want to be on that high layer, right? Here he runs straight into low ground against all this mountain here, as well as the old builds, and he gets in a really scuffed situation. Crash pad straight up, gets over the top, which is good utility usage. Gets up here, he's able to find a pick on backside, down low ground. This is really good, just awareness that it's coming up this hill where there's a choke point. A lot of players are going to be coming up, and he finds the free elim here. As he moves forward, again, this is just scuffness of how it's all of these old builds. This is elim. This is a really nice elim to get. One thing you need to make sure you do, this is what a lot of beginner players make, right, is they don't cover off their angles at all. You see here how many angles he's open to. Anybody could come from backside of Storm there. Anybody could see this. This guy could drop down and get into the box. Then you're just dead after you get your refresh, and that guy gets two players worth of loot. John moves up and over. And at this point, I think this is kind of a big mistake, right? Is he tries to go for height too early. He's a lot of builds. So he's only got 25 builds to hit. Only 20 builds, and he actually decides to contest height, right? This isn't a big issue just because he got it for free, and sometimes you can just get it for free. But the fact that he didn't check if anybody was in Storm, high ground and solos is never free, right? There's always mythics in play, there's always players or floppers going for a play, and that means he's forced to drop, waste a lot of builds on the take as well, drops down, and then look how greedy he gets for this kill, right? He's trying to jump down on this guy on low, gets caught off by a lot of players in different angles, and at that point in the game you have to just play your life for as long as possible. Try to squeeze that top 5 placement, because if you get that one extra placement threshold just by playing a little bit more conservative, right, then that's you qualified to round 2, that's you making DreamHack finals. The 2 biggest mistakes I noticed in Nebby's endgame performance was basically his surge management throughout early and mid game. This resulted in him getting killed a lot just during mid game fights where he had to go for surge, and also the fact that his endgame recycling is really bad. So see here, he's trying to go for these surge tags, which is obviously fine, trying to look for surge tags, but instead he decides to instantly crash pad. You really don't want to be using your own crash pads on first moving. If at all possible, look to recycle somebody else's, or look to recycle launch. That launch should be completely free to recycle, and he could have taken more time to get surge tags as well. Because of the fact he used a lot of crash pads there, he's ended up on ultimate low ground throughout this moving zone. Now coming to second move, he's going to be in a really disgusting position. He starts getting hit by Storm Surge, has to waste his last crash pad a little bit of a bump forward. This is why I say you need to be saving your crash pads just so you can go for a refresh of them later on, or you can use them to get out of a bad situation as kind of a get out of jail free card, right? He does a really good job of actually going for a kill here in a second, aggroing Milan really well. Look what he does here. He blocks all his angles from behind, jumps in with a cone straight away, and gets that refresh. The fact that Neby's able to do that endgame is so good, and he's able to do that consistently. He just needs to make it to endgame more, make sure his surge management is good so he doesn't flies that as much. Comes forward here, plays really passive and smart, realizes this guy's been hit white, so he actually decides to leave it for a second, doesn't need that refresh just yet. And look, as soon as he realizes where zone's going, drops off all these angles, and he really aggresses the guy he hits white. Gets the wall, chops him down, gets a free refresh there again, gets the purple attack off that. Now he's in a really good situation. And with his mat cap here, I think he made a really big mistake. He gets these 2 kills on backside of the zone. What he should have done immediately is just got upper level, right? Instead, he's just deciding to sit on low ground. After that crash pad, gets another pick. This pick at this point really isn't necessary. That guy didn't have a lot of mats. He was just trying to cut through. And now Neby's in a really bad situation. Still on low ground, can't get up off his layer. He gets up here towards front side, cuts through, but look, this guy just exploits straight into his box, trying to look for a refresh, and now Neby's cracked on low ground. There's so many people looking for a kill, and he falls into somebody else's box with crash pads. At this late in the game, unless you desperately need a kill and you're like sub 10 builds, you need to get off low ground and try to conserve yourself and just live as long as possible. This is what secured him 80k. He got a 12 kill win. I'm going to break down exactly what he was doing to get all of these kills, all these refreshes. A lot of it obviously was really good timing, but I'll try to do my best to kind of explain what he's doing. Catches this guy gliding with a meteor glider, very easy shots for him to hit. Keeps track of him mid-air, and he gets that kill on backside. Now he's going to crash pad. You see that crash pad did there, right? This is a really nice one that you can do, is throw it on a ramp and then move to the diagonal, and you'll end up going diagonally, right? Rather than doing that big cone setup, he gets over the diagonal crash pad there, comes in and grabs the mats off the guy he just killed. Now he's going to rotate down. This is where he results into his cheap tarp, gets towards zone, and the biggest thing you can learn from Tayson's gameplay is just how conservative he is with his mats and how many mats he saves on his builds, right? In endgame, he's not overbuilding at all. Does a cheap tarp and then comes in, and again, look at his position here. He's in a 2x1. This is really good just for somebody crash padding in. He'll be able to get out on transition boxes, gets that kill on backside as he holds, gets ready for zone. Instantly, as soon as zone hits, he realizes where it is, where he can scout for it, tries to look for somebody coming underneath him, tries to look backside, and then he starts moving, right? He's got those times down his head where he knows he has to move. This is the second one as he drops, and this gets him perfectly on front side. Look at his level he decides to play here as well. Gets on kind of that high mid ground. Again, really conservative as mats, not overbuilding anything, not really bothering about cuffing us back. Now he's got all this surface area to look for, right? Got 4 boxes to work with to find a kill from on anybody on his level, and he's also 1 off low ground. Sees his play making kind of a showers play, realizes and remembers that, looks back for a second, and look at this play he goes for in a sec. This is so nice. Really nice timing on this guy as he comes down. It's a free refresh there, gets all the mats, but he doesn't overcommit onto that floor, right? That was back in Storm to use his crash pad to get forward with that flopper. Now he comes forward, overbuilds, so as soon as he got that refresh, right, he overbuilds, gets upper layer, gets off it, plays a lot more conservative and safe. Now he's starting to scout towards height, realizes he's in that second height, kind of vulnerable position. High ground's jumping down on him, so look at his thought process. He drops down his layers again commits into this angel, gets a refresh here. Then he keeps moving forward again. Packs a little bit more in. And this is really well timed, right? He realizes the two-player fighting on backside of Storm. Gets both of them since that edit's been open. And that's the thing, right? He got those kills there just because he was in that 2x1, right? He gets both of those elims, and this is just really nice shots. Those twains as he gets into his box. Keeps moving forward again. Kills advice onto low ground. Okay. Now, this is obviously where he's kind of feeling himself. He's hit all of his shots. Instead of dropping low, look what he does. He's got that gold charge. He's going to look up to height, hits this really nice shot on Frenzy on high ground. Really nice build chain, secures height. Instantly get that shield check on the guy down low. Now, this is kind of a perfect example of how you play high ground. Secures, connects everything in hard builds to start. 1v1 against Reason, one of the most scary players in the EU. And look what he does. Secures high ground again. Staying on that backside of zone, right? He's not really overcommitting and building towards the front. Gets a 300 tag there because Reason commits too wide. And then he gets another free jump shot. Whenever somebody's got a spray weapon out, like a SMG or an AR, you should commit to the shot at that point. You're going to out DPS them the charge or even attack. And you can just build straight after to carry yourself up.